And I think we are live. 3, 2, 1. And we are live on TikTok. What's up, everybody? It's Nick Johnson from Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me this morning. So we're going to do another live stream today, and I'm going to tell a little story about my journey as a filmmaker. I did this the other night, but I wasn't happy with how the video turned out on my DSLR. It just wasn't bright enough. So I ended up deleting it, whatever. So I'm going to just basically tell the same story I just told the other night. It's going to be a comprehensive look at the career, a look at my career as a filmmaker, but more importantly, kind of just like an overall look at how I got to where I'm at, kind of just like a brief timeline of my life. I grew up, and I'm very grateful. First off, I want to start by saying I'm very grateful. I've spent a lot of time the last few years being pissed off, and I'm really trying to focus on being grateful, being happy, taking joy, and finding happiness in the little things. Slowing down in life. Gotta clear my throat here. Got a fresh pot of coffee on this morning. First off, that's just something that's always a must. Got this little percolator, Ozark Trail percolator at Walmart. Cooked that up on the camp stove, the old Coleman camp stove here. Van life, gotta have it. Shout out to Dunn for this awesome stove. It's a relic. But yeah, we make coffee. I make coffee usually every morning. For at least the last couple weeks, I just picked this up. Gotta have my coffee. But I just want to say I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. I grew up in a hunting family, and I really feel sorry for the generation that is growing up today and not learning the traditions of hunting. I think that hunting is just something very important to the existence of human beings, to be quite honest with you. And so as a kid, I remember just going up to the cabin, spending summers up at the lake, up on Clam Lake, fishing, catching bluegills, crappies, bass, northerns. I mean, that was life. We just absolutely always spent summers at the lake. And by the time I was old enough to start hunting, around 12, spending the falls in the woods. My cabin was up in Siren, Wisconsin, Burnett County. We hunted in what we call the Blueberry Woods, and that was the Blueberry Woods is some public land there in Burnett County. And oh man, I'll never forget my first deer camp when I was 12 years old. Going up to camp, I believe I got out of school the week of Thanksgiving, so I was up at deer camp for 5 days, and that was the Mecca. I mean, my life has never been the same since deer camp. My very first deer camp just changed me forever. I'm freezing. I gotta find a hoodie. Oh, tipped my chair over. Hey. Shit. I can't use this one. Excuse me, a little bit of a cluster. There. I'm gonna put this hoodie back on. It's not been that cold out here I'm in Denver area right now. It was actually pretty reasonable this morning. It was almost 40 degrees. It was like 15 2 mornings ago. But for whatever reason, I'm just a little chilly sitting here right now, so I'm gonna put on a hoodie. But repping the Siren Dragons, baby. What do you know about them Siren Dragons? As I'm sitting here talking about deer camp up at the cabin, Siren, baby, repping. I did not even intend to do that, but anyway, make sure these dreads stay out. Gotta show off the dew. yeah, man, deer camp just it was just something I'll never forget. I've absolutely loved deer camp, and it's one of the things that really bums me out the most is I really haven't had a deer camp for like the last 10 years. I've done like 4 or 5 different deer camps, and no tradition is stuck, and I want to get a deer camp tradition going again, because it's just my absolute favorite time of year. There's nothing I look forward to more than deer camp. And I spent a lot of years just being mad at my dad, so my family deer camp, I just kind of stopped going, and I don't really feel welcome there anymore. So I'm really bummed I missed out on deer camp this year. This was the first year I missed Wisconsin deer season since 1999. Since 1998. I shot my first deer in 99. But I became obsessed with the outdoors at a very early age. And in high school, me and some buddies, I mean, you know, I also really liked home videos. We had a camcorder when I was growing up, and I loved just watching home videos, shooting home videos. Kind of typical stuff, kind of how any filmmaker gets into it, you know, whatever, had a camera at home, started playing with it. But my buddy Wade and I actually, we became friends around 2001, 2002. We were in high school. We were both just really into hunting, and we watched a lot of hunting videos. And I remember the Primetime Bucks video series, Hunter Specialties. Who's watched Primetime Bucks? I know somebody's out there watching Stamp Potts, Pat Reeve. That was like when Pat Reeve got his start in filmmaking. Greg Miller, Eddie Salter, Rick White. Man, those were the days. I love those. I think the first couple Bucks, Primetime Bucks videos, yeah, Primetime Bucks and Primetime Bucks 4 and 5 I had on VHS, and then I think when 6 came out I finally upgraded and got DVDs. But big fan of the Primetime Bucks video series growing up. I just absolutely love those hunting videos. And you know, in high school, me and my buddies started filming some deer. We'd go out deer shining at night. Me and Brian and Stagger, we would go out and we'd do deer drives. We came across these couple big bucks that were always hanging out in Trumpeter Valley, and man, we spent a lot of time chasing and filming those deer, just spotlighting them, whatever, hanging out in the summertime. That was like kind of my first real experience filming wildlife or doing anything kind of hunting related. I think me and Stagger might have hunted that fall our senior year. We might have gone hunting together. But basically Wade and I just kind of, we spent our early 20s, like right out of high school, and you know, into our early 20s, we were trying to put together some footage and put together a demo reel to try to get on TV. We wanted to get onto the Drury Brothers Dream Season TV show. So at the time, Wade was only 20. We both had to be 21, so we just started filming together, and we'd hunt down at his uncle's farm. And man, I got my first buck kill on film, I think in 06. Must have been 06, so I was probably 21. And I mean, we filmed. I don't think I went into the woods without a camera and a buddy from probably 04 till 2015. When I finally went hunting by myself for the first time in 2015. But yeah, I was just obsessed with deer hunting, and you know, Wade and I, we wanted to be on TV, so we spent a couple years filming together. 06, 07, 08. I think I shot a buck on film in 07, but we did not recover it. We were actually hunting on the same stand as the little 8-pointer I killed in 06. In 08, we went up north and I shot a buck out of Swanee's, and that buck I killed up at Swanee's. I made a YouTube video out of that. I remember that was one of the first hunting videos I ever made, and that probably, I suppose I probably made it then right away in 09. That was like or excuse me, that was '08. Yeah, I suppose that was '08. I went to film school in 2009. That's why I got '09 in the brain. But anyway, I was in my early 20s. I was working in corporate America. Wade and I were just filming for fun at this point, and I just knew I wanted to do something more. I was sick of the commute to the concrete jungle. I mean, I spent all day just dreaming about the tree stand, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I hate working all week, 5 days for 2 days off to go spend in the woods. It's like, I'm not having this. I want to spend 5 days in the woods, 7 days in the woods. I want to spend all fucking year in the woods. That's all I wanted. I thought, how can I do that? Well, I'm like, I could become a TV producer. Go to school, become a filmmaker, learn how to edit videos, and become a full-time filmmaker. I really wanted to be self-employed my whole life. I remember in high school, the careers class I took, where you try to hone in and figure out what do you want to do with your life. I was choosing between architect and taxidermist. Those were two jobs I knew that I could be self-employed. My Uncle Ken was an architect. He was self-employed. He had his own business. I thought that was really cool. And, just with my love for deer, I thought, taxidermist would be a good job too. Ultimately, I ended up choosing to go to the U of M for architecture, and that was not the right choice. I don't know if you've ever experienced this in your life. This is one of the very, very early lessons in life that I learned, where I had basically every ounce in my body telling me not to go to the U of M the year after high school. I tried really hard in school. I gave a fuck way more than I probably should have in high school. I got really good grades. At the end of my sophomore year, I was ranked 5th in my class, had like a near perfect GPA, no B's on my transcript, all A's and A minuses. My junior year, I slipped a little bit. I stopped caring quite as much. Ended up getting a C in English. Dropped out of the top 10. I graduated 13th out of my class, about 116 kids, so whatever, top 12%. But I went to the U of M right out of high school, and the entire summer leading up to it, I knew it just wasn't the right choice. It wasn't the right decision. It wasn't what I wanted to do. But there's just pressure. I just felt pressure to do it because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what they teach you after high school. You go to college. I mean, my entire 4 years of high school were spent preparing to go to college. The classes I took, what I did in high school, was to mold me into being a college student. And I try not to live with regret, but I kind of regret that. I wish I would have known better. I wish I would have taken shop classes and art classes and music classes in high school. I almost went out for a garage band my senior year. I wish I would have. But, what do you do? I did not want to go to the U of M. Dropped out. That was kind of a big moment in my life. That was kind of like the first big failure in my life, was dropping out of college. To me, it felt like a failure. It was absolutely the right move. The U of M was not the right place for me. I was not thriving. I was not enjoying class. It was a culture shock to me. Growing up in a small town in Wisconsin, going up and living in Minneapolis, it was just a whole new environment. And I don't really much like the big cities. I'm not a city guy. I'm definitely a country guy. I'd definitely rather be out in the sticks, in the woods, away from people. That's just, I don't know, it's just in my nature, I guess. But out of high school, out of college, I should say, out of 1 year of college, I worked a couple different odd jobs. I worked at, shout out to Krenz, I was just texting him this morning about General Plastics. I did a very brief stint working in a factory on the graveyard shift when I was 19. Pulling in $300 a week, I thought that was something. I moved out for the first time, paying rent. Oh man, I thought that was the shit. But after 6 months of working, not even 6 months, it was like 4 months working factory work, deer hunting came around, and I hadn't known that you could take time off of work. Like, paid time off, unpaid time, whatever. Just take the fucking time off work. This is the thing. This is another huge lesson that I learned. Had I known whether or not I had qualified for paid time off or not, I should have just taken the days off to enjoy the week-long deer camp, because I ended up missing. I went up north for opening weekend, but I had to work Sunday night, and that was just hell. I didn't want to go in. I ended up not going in, but I didn't stay up at deer camp either. So I ended up losing my job, which I quit. No called, no showed. Lost my job, and I didn't get to go to deer camp. It was another very hard lesson to learn. But in my 20s, you know, I buckled down. I had some good jobs. I got a good serving job at the Hastings Country Club for a while. Was pulling in some good money. Lived in Hastings for a little while. Then I got my foot in the door in the corporate world. My mom was working up at a company called Securian Financial Group. She'd been working there for like 10 years at the time. I was like, sweet, I want to get into here. I'm gonna work my way up the corporate ladder, get a nice stable career. I was well on my way. I was working there for 3-4 years, and I had been promoted a couple times, got into a job that I was not even qualified for. I was required to take my Series 7 and my Series 24 securities exams, and at 23 years old, I just wasn't willing to dedicate my life to the securities industry. I ended up taking a demotion out of my job, transferred to a different part of the company, and this was what really set my filmmaking career into motion. I met a guy by the name of Mike Troutman, Tender Terry. We know him as Papa T. He's owner of Papa T's in Prescott. Mike Troutman and I shared a cubicle wall in 2008. We were just working in a group life insurance, talking to people on the phone about life insurance. Just a really boring ass job. But Mike had told me that his brother-in-laws were putting together this bow hunting competition called Battle of the Bow. And I was like, holy shit, I need to be a part of that. Let me know more about that. So we talked about it. I ended up going down and meeting Joey Brunner down at Roger Nelson's place in Maiden Rock, right off the Rush. Shout out to Roger Nelson. We were down there for March Madness. I ended up meeting Joey. So that must have been, spring, March of '08. I met Joey Brunner. And that summer, they were working towards putting together a bow hunting contest. Yeah, that they were gonna. It was basically gonna be a competition to advertise their bow hunting website that they had built. Joey had built a website. It was kind of similar to like MySpace and Facebook. It was called Wisconsin Outdoors Network. Basically, just a social media site, and so he wanted to have a bow hunting contest. And they were gonna make DVDs, sell DVDs, and I was just like, yeah, man, I want to be involved in that no matter what. You know, Wade and I had been filming our hunts for the past 3, 4, 5 years prior to that, so I just knew it was something that I wanted to do, especially with being in the corporate world and like taking a demotion. I'm just like, I just knew I wasn't into that. I was like, you know, hemming and hawing about going back to school, and so summer of '08, I just made the decision. I'm like, yep, I'm going to become an outdoor filmmaker. So I started shopping around looking at film schools, and, or I should say summer of '09 that was. Because fall of '09, I enrolled into film school, Minnesota School of Business in Minneapolis. And I asked some of the father figures in my life advice on what to do. I was 24 at the time, and my dad, my stepdad Bob, and my grandpa all advised me against quitting my full-time job to go to school full-time. They all said I should keep working, go to school part-time, do it at night. It's like, no, I don't like Securian anymore. You know, I just took a demotion into a job that was Just not, the life insurance was not me. I couldn't. Troopman, working alongside Troopman was about the only thing that kept me going to work. Just the BSing with him. We formed a bond. And as quickly as I could get into film school full time, I quit working. I jumped right into film school. And I was making a pretty good clip. I was making like 36 grand, I think, when I left Securian. So I was able to afford my first year of school and get some student loans all on my own. And when I say afford it, I was able to qualify for the financial aid. I did not pay cash for my student. I think my film degree cost me about 40 grand all said and done. I'm still paying on that shit. It's awful, but yeah, I dove right into film school, fall of '09. And simultaneously, Wade and I started filming with Battle of the Bow, we started shooting a pilot for a television show. The whole Battle of the Bow thing, I mean, that's a whole nother story for another day, but before we knew it, we had a professional grade camera and we were out sitting in the woods filming for television. And I knew that was exactly what I wanted. I wasn't really surprised by it. It was just kind of like one of those things that you just, you had to jump on. I had to take full advantage of that opportunity, and I bonded with the Battle of the Bow guys, man. Joey, Mark, Elliot, Mikey, all those guys, they became like brothers to me. And being that I was in film school while we were in the production of this new television show, I knew for a fact that I was gonna absolutely intern with them or work alongside these guys while I was in film school. It was my calling. It was what I had to do. And so 2010, I was living the dream, man. I was full-time film school. I did some traveling in the fall of 2010. My buddy Sam and I took a road trip, mainly because I needed to get some demo reel quality footage. I was gearing up to graduate in about 6 months, and I hadn't filmed anything too gnarly, so I was like, I got to go out west and get some big game. We took a road trip out to Montana and stopped at Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore, and that was an absolute blast of a road trip. But yeah, I was also filming some stuff with the Battle of the Bow guys and putting together their season 2. I was full on interning for them for season 2, and that was just a whole nother awesome experience. But come spring of 2011, I was gearing up to graduate, and I wasn't sure if there was going to be a future with Battle of the Bow. I definitely didn't think there was going to be a very profitable future. There's not a lot of money to be made at outdoor television, at least not in my experience. My internship with Battle of the Bow, I didn't earn any money. I think I maybe had some expenses paid for on some of the travel I did, but I was open. I was open to new opportunities, new possibilities. I didn't really have any plans to go work for a TV show or anything like that. I went to film school to learn the skills to be able to do it on my own and to be able to work for myself. So I got a phone call like the last week of school in March of 2011 from a guy. He was an outdoor filmmaker. He had a show on the Pursuit channel. He said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what we're about. We're looking to bring a new guy on staff." It's like, well, how about that? I might be your guy. I had briefly heard of him. I think I'd seen a couple videos online of him, but what could I say? I nailed it. I landed a job right out of film school working for a TV show, and I went on a trip that spring, April of 2011, to kind of like try out for the job, and I started working for him in June. And man, fall of 2011 was a banger. Just, where did I hunt? I got to go to Texas, Montana a couple times, Wyoming, Nebraska a couple times. I went to Kansas. I went to Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, Canada. Hunted moose, deer, didn't do any bear hunting, but turkeys, mule deer, elk. It was just an absolute epic opportunity. I was full on producing outdoor television, running the camera, editing the episodes. That's another whole nother story for itself too. My whole experience with that. Backland Outdoors was the company. That whole experience ended very bittersweet. Well, pretty bitter actually, but in 2012, when my time was up with Backland, I knew it was time to start my own company, and Night Owl Media Group was born. So I moved back home, back to Prescott in 2012, started my own film production photography company. I bought my first DSLR camera, and you know, that first year, 2012, I didn't really have any clients or anything set up, so a lot of the shooting I did, I was just photographing my brother's baseball games. That year, Prescott Baseball won the state title, and I was at nearly every single game, so I've got just a freaking massive photo gallery from that state championship season. I mean, hundreds of pictures of every game probably. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that, so it'd be kind of cool to do something with those pictures. But basically, yeah, 2012, man, things were looking up. I had just gained some awesome hunting experience and filmmaking experience. Just started my own company, and you know, the world was my oyster. The possibilities were endless. Another buddy of mine from high school brought me out turkey hunting. We had a conversation. He said, "Hey man, I'm starting this business, and part of what I want to do with the business is market it with a television show. So I'd like to bring you on board and make a TV show." So I was like, "All right, I like hunting shows. I've already worked for Battle of the Bow. I've already done the Backland thing. Why don't we start a TV show?" So bam, 2012, Claim Your Trophy was born. And so from 2012 to 2014, me and my buddy Swanee, we ended up same thing, just traveling all over. The hunts weren't nearly as jam-packed. It took like a year and a half, 2-year span to film all these hunts. But we went to Kansas, we went to Illinois, we went to Iowa, we went to northern Minnesota, we went to Canada twice, Ontario on a wolf hunt, Manitoba on a bear hunt. Did some absolutely epic stuff. Claim Your Trophy was a phase in my life where I literally felt like I was living the dream. It was such a fun time in my life. Home life felt pretty good, you know, friends, like I was living in a bachelor pad with Wade. You know, at this time I was living with Wade, who years prior I was filming with, and man, it was just a really fun time in my life. But it was also a major struggle in my life because after having experienced who is this? Sherbohara wants to go live together. No, sorry bud, not including anybody on my lives here. This is just storytelling for myself. As I can see, nobody's even watching. Nobody's even on my live, so everybody's gonna have to watch this on YouTube. I better just get this story freaking wrapped up and told. Nobody even gives a shit anyway. Claim Your Trophy was great, but it was a tough time in my life because I undervalued myself. Again, just, you know, the idea of doing what I was doing was enough satisfaction that, like, I didn't feel the need to have to earn a livable wage, and that's ultimately what it is. I sold my soul to fucking hunt for a living, and I didn't make any money doing it, and ended up having a falling out there. At the tail end of 2014, I went through some trials and tribulations. Got a DUI, got kicked out of my place, had a big fight with my dad that would carry on for, I went about 3 years without talking to him. Well, that wasn't until 2015, but I had a rough patch. I hit a real rough patch. Maybe you'd call it a midlife crisis. I was only about 31 at the time, but I hope that's not my midlife. Just hit a real rough patch. was dealing with some major fucking issues in my own head. And after having experienced some serious like highs and lows with success and failure throughout the past 10 years of my life, I just went into a phase where I knew I needed to straighten up. I sobered up. I was going to treatment. I was going to therapy. I was talking to a counselor. I was talking to a sponsor. And for a little over a year, well, I guess it was about 6 months, I was going to treatment. I was going to regular meetings, regular counseling. And I had kind of, in my sobriety, kind of given up on my dream of being a full-time filmmaker. And it was a real ego check, because I had thought just just a year prior, I was living the fucking dream. I thought, man, I'm doing it. But it was these repeated failures, dropping out of school, failing to make a career out of the corporate world, failing to stick it out with backland, failing to keep Claim Your Trophy going. It just, all these momentous failures were fucking eating at me, and I needed to change. I was drinking a lot, I was doing a lot of drugs, and I got sober. It was what I needed. It was absolutely what I needed at that time. My family relationships were in turmoil. They still kind of are. I'm just kind of at peace now that they kind of always will be. I'm always going to be misunderstood by my family, and that's all right. They're misunderstood by me. It's all about lack of communication. I don't communicate with anybody in my family. My dad doesn't want to talk to me, Sent him $100 the other day. He won't even text me and say thank you or anything like that. But as I can see, my camera's about to die. I'm gonna wrap this up with the whole sobriety journey. That's a whole nother probably 6-part miniseries. But since 2016, I've just been living the dream. Back to full-time filmmaking here on YouTube, Huntourage TV, trying to make content on TikTok and other social media. So that's the reason I made this video, is to build my audience and to tell you guys my story. I want to thank you for watching. Appreciate you coming and hanging out this morning. I'm gonna head into the coin laundry here and get some van lifing done. Get this van cleaned out, do some laundry. But thanks for watching my filmmaking journey. More on that to be continued. Be sure to subscribe, get social with me, follow me on TikTok so you can watch this live. And thanks for watching. That's all I got. Have a great day. Peace.